That's terrific.
Yes. Thank you for clicking on this Fun with Pete and Sherry video. I am your host, Julian, and we have a special, what is it? Episode? Okay. A special episode today. A special cross entry between Fun with Pete and Sherry and Destination Weekend Land.
That's right.
And why don't you guys introduce yourselves, since my viewers don't know who you are.
I'm Will. And
I'm Brandon.
And we've got a web series / podcast that we do. Yep. So in conjunction with this episode, you'll be hearing more.
And my shtick is Scotch, right? And what is it you guys do?
BSing.
BSing. Beer,
for the most part.
Beer drinking, wackiness.
Silliness.
Okay.
That's kind of our thing. Sketches,
silly sketches, reviews, and just randomness.
General
funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Funny. It's supposed to be funny. See, this is meant to be fun.
Fun.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Mine is meant to be fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Fun with Pete and Sherry, because the fun comes first.
When are they getting
here? They're here.
They're here. Okay.
They're here. You just haven't met them yet.
Oh. Okay.
Now all of these are scotches that are made from malted barley, and they're all made at a single distillery, which means they're single malt scotches. You've heard the term, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what it means. It's malt whiskey that's made in Scotland at a single distillery. Now, it does not mean that it comes out of a single barrel. It does not mean that it's even all the same age. Only that it's all malt whiskey and that it's made at a single distillery.
Okay.
If it has an age statement on it, like this, Glenfiddich 12, then the youngest scotch in this bottle, no matter how much they mix into it, has to be no younger than 12 years.
Okay.
They could put 21 years old scotch in there too, and some
Get a little treat.
Yeah, and some Scotch companies just wanting to make their all their numbers more flavorful or more mellow will do that. They will cheat in reverse. They'll put a little older Scotch in the bottle. Yes, and then there are also some really great Scotches with no age statement. The Aberlour Bunna, Lafroig, Porter Cats are examples. All right. So, what do you know about Scotch so far?
I know you hate doers.
Okay, so try some Glenmorangie. This is what Scotch tastes like without peat or sherry. Neat. Neat is what you call it if you get Scotch without any addition.
Nothing. No water, no ice cubes, nothing.
Yes, like what they would call in the Wild West straight up.
Straight up.
And every now and then it's funny, I get a bartender actually ask me if I want something straight up. And I always just look at him and say, what? Straight up. And I'm just like, oh, okay, partner.
What I'm doing when I get home.
Put some shit in smoke barrels and just wait until it becomes Scotch.
No, I'm gonna watch TV. But I'll be thinking about oak barrels.
Excited to meet Pete, to be honest.
So
Okay.
is this like Pete Moss?
Peat moss,
in the Pete Moss family?
Yes. What peat is actually made of is heather, grass, and moss.
Doing a lot of name dropping tonight, Julian.
And so what happens is over time it dies and then it just gets tramped down. And over much of Scotland it's like 10 feet deep. And they comfortably have enough peat, they say, that they could go on making Scotch with it forever. They'll never run out.
It's like the oil industry.
Yeah, just like oil, they will never run out of it, and it has no harmful byproduct. So we have that to be thankful for.
Yeah.
Throw it
Yes,
on the
I
ground.
would just like little tastes.
Okay.
So this is the Glenfiddich.
This is the Glenfiddich.
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 Not Glenfiddich, yeah. Okay.
Not much of a reader.
All right. So nose, taste.
Nose. Oh, this
That
one's
one's
a lot
milder.
easier.
A little milder, yeah.
I think so too.
Oh, again with like that.
Still no peat, no sherry, but
Here's
different
like-
taste.
Like pear.
Very good. Pear is, in fact, one of the things that the Glenfiddich company themselves says you can taste in their scotch.
You do a lot of wine tasting. You're good.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
good on the nose.
I do a lot of.
You do so. You do have a palate. Okay. for this.
yeah,
Okay.
I do have a
Excellent.
palate for it. I just don't know anything about it.
Excellent. I get the pear juice or apple juice at the beginning, even almost a little. I get a little banana taste, and then on the finish, something kind of like marzipan.
I liked the. It was just really fruity and delicious.
Excellent. There you have it, folks. Glenfiddich.
Number
Greater
one
than
selling scotch
Glenmorangie.
in the world.
There's a reason. It's a tasty.
Yes, and Glenmorangie, if you go up the scale from their basic here, you go through, that has a number of different finishes. Glenmorangie La Santa, Glenmorangie Nectar d'Or, Glenmorangie Pinta Ruben. All these are finished in different kinds of casks. But I've had good and bad experiences kind of with all of them. Sometimes I feel like Glenmorangie isn't putting the best possible spirit into those other casks. So they're maybe taking some of the spirit that isn't the best and trying to cover it up with strong tastes from something else. However, the Glenmorangie 18-year-old has never been anything but spectacular. Now, if you haven't had a peaty scotch before, and it's possible you haven't, this might as well be a completely different spirit, because it doesn't taste the same.
The same. Okay.
You may love this, you may hate it, but you will remember it.
What
I
if
don't have an opinion.
what if the spirit is cursed? Do we nose it?
Oh yes,
Oh,
this
you
is
must
an Isla.
notice.
You knows it.
Oh wow, you can tell right away. Very earthy.
Ooh, yeah.
Very earthy.
Yeah.
Bless you.
That's nice too. It's like a real, as opposed to the fruitiness. It's got a more like musky.
That's a night out in the
Yes.
forest right there.
Very musty. That's the peat. If you take a like a Lagavulin 16, you get the smoke from a peat fire. But here, you get the fire itself.
That's something.
Ooh,
I don't even know what to think of that.
that is
I've not had a peaty scotch before, apparently.
either of I. It's like eating a campfire.
It very much is.
It's like putting a
Super
campfire in your
smoky,
mouth and being like, hello.
Charcoal.
It's not unpleasant though.
It's incredibly smooth. It's just that
Initial kick.
that initial, and
Gotcha.
that's pretty much just in the nose. It's not even like the taste.
Yeah.
Is,
It's like burping
is
soda.
subtler, but the
No
Yeah,
deeper.
we're going to try it too with a couple of drops of water.
I would certainly drink it, and it's very good. But I would have to get accustomed to that taste. It's a very unique.
Work up to it.
That really.
You would have to get accustomed to this taste, but here's the thing, and I say this from personal experience and from reading the same story online about much. You would get accustomed to
You
it.
do
And
get
what happens
accustomed
at
to it,
some point you're aware of there's sort of a reversal of polarity.
Yeah.
Where that taste, the more of it
Yeah.
is better. It becomes essential to your
Yeah.
enjoyment of the whiskey. And I've had that, and actually this was the one that tipped it for me. And now I like Ardbeg and Lafroig and Lagavulin and all of the smoky ones. But it was Lafroig quarter cask that tipped it for me, definitely.
So there's not necessarily like the age doesn't necessarily mean quality.
No, good point. Good point. The age, all the age tells you is how many years it's spent in a barrel. And a barrel could mean almost anything to a scotch. A barrel could be doing wonderful things to a scotch, or a barrel could be doing next to nothing to a scotch.
Okay.
And so the number of years does not necessarily mean the quality. Now, if you get a good distillery that has a name that you know and you get a chance to try one of their 30 or 40 or 50-year-old things, chances are those are going to be good simply because if it had been in the barrel for 40 years and wasn't good, they wouldn't release it because then people will taste it and said like, well, your 40-year-old stuff sucks.
Yeah.
It would make everything else look bad.
Yeah.
So for as much for the reason that of pride as anything else, there is a sort of a progression.
But when you're looking at like 12, 18, that means a little less.
It depends. It means different things depending on the distillery. You just have to know the distillery you're working with. Glenfiddich, it's basically a different formula for the Scotch for the 12, the 15, and the 18. The 12-year-old stuff would never turn into
the 18-year-old
what's in the 15 or in the 18-year-old bottle. They're made differently from the very beginning. Or at least aged differently from the very beginning. Like the 15 is a mix of sherry oak, bourbon oak, and new oak, which I'll get into now because we're about to get into sherry. It must be in an oak barrel for at least 3 years. Most of them get their oak barrels from bourbon manufacturers in the United States because there is a law in the United States that a bourbon barrel can be used only once. This law was actually passed by the Coopers, people who make barrels, who simply wanted to sell more barrels.
Oh, God bless America, right?
God bless America. But this had an interesting byproduct. It created this aftermarket in these barrels, and they're very, very cheap. To use a sherry barrel they use Oloroso sherry generally from Jerez, Spain, and they cost 10 times as much, the barrels. There's all kinds of things you can use American oak to make those barrels, which is sort of not the same thing because the American oak doesn't impart as much flavor. Or you can use a refilled barrel. But if you have a European oak sherry barrel from Jerez, Spain, and it's first fill with your Scotch, it's going to soak up a great deal of that sherry flavor. A great deal of that sherry flavor. And Scotches that have that are things like Highland Park, Aberlour, Macallan is a big one.
I used to drink some Macallan. I had a roommate who really dug it, so that's pretty much the only Scotch I'm familiar with.
This is a cask strength product from Aberlour, called Aberlour Abuna. It is, what is it? It is the greatest sherry monster it could possibly be. It's pretty young, but that's for the same reason. They want to serve this while the sherry flavor is still very, very pungent, if you will. And this is one I'm going to recommend that you add a little water to actually before you even drink it, because it's 59.8% alcohol as it is.
Wow. Wow. It's thick, actually. Yeah. You can tell.
It says sherry butts on the bottle. I just wanted to say the word butts is on the bottle.
It does say the word butt. Yeah,
Weekend Land, we have to recognize where butts are printed.
That's fine. In Dublin, there's a very famous butt bridge.
Butt presence. You're going to have the butt presence.
Got to have butt presence. It's like Bill Hicks said. No matter how political you get or moralistic, you don't want to swim too far from Dick Joke Island. And I agree with that.
You don't want your... Okay. Wait, butt?
Now, what I do is I add just enough water so that this changes from a little rosy to just orange. So let's see here. Okay.
Okay, let's do this. All right.
So deep nose first.
Deep nose.
That's not working. I was putting my nose in. Ugh. Hello.
All right. Final test.
Got a little fruit, and then it smooths out to a nice kind of smoke.
Oh, it's very smooth. I like that.
Should be bursting with that wine flavor, that wine influence.
Very much so.
And I get
It's Aberlour.
I get a lot of fruit cake and cherry, black and red cherry, not maraschino cherry, but the real honest cherry.
Oh yeah.
And it's
red cherry's right.
abundant.
That is Aberlour Abuna, spelled Abunad.
Laguna.
Laguna. Silent D. Very not silent H.
Buna. Yes. It means origin.
Okay.
It means
Origin.
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 Not orangey.
Orangey.
No.
We're back to the orangey.
Yeah.
Glenmorangie.
You thought you pieced it all together, I know,
I
but
thought,
no.
oh, it's a puzzle.
Okay, now there are more peaty scotches and un-peaty scotches and sherry scotches than there are any one of those. There are a lot more than there are in this category.
Except the single malt.
Well, they're all single malts.
Okay, I just saw that and I guessed.
This is peat and sherry.
Oh,
In the same
this is where the
That's right. The 18-year-old was recently given an award as the best spirit in the world by a group, a big group of people who ought to know, apparently.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it is, the 18 is sublime.
Yeah.
But the 12-year-old Highland Park, I think, is much closer in taste to the 18-year-old Highland Park than many of the scotches, many of the distilleries are their 12-year-old to their 18-year-old.
Oh, okay.
The 12-year-old is damn good. I mean, I just think Highland Park is a damn good scotch all around. But you will find that in mixing, the peat taste and the sherry taste, neither one remains what it was. That's kind of...
well, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's kind of the best way I could say it.
Because when I imagined drinking this one, I thought that I would get that immediate sherry and then the peat right after.
And maybe you will. Everyone kind of experiences this one differently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's so weird how even in the smell they're almost... You can smell the two separate things, but it's like almost a whole different... It's like a whole different thing.
It is.
That's like probably the most drinkable. That's like, I think, at least for my taste, I could pour that in a glass just straight up and
I could sip on that for a while.
Yeah.
I could
Straight up. Okay,
Straight up.
okay, partner.
yeah.
The higher the bottling strength, the better, obviously, because you can bring it back down to what it would have been at the lower strength just by adding water, and without losing flavor. Because if you've added water to weaken it down to the lower strength, you've lost flavor as well.
Yeah.
The only thing
this won't require any water.
It doesn't require any water to me. Many people add water to scotch at this level, so you don't have to do it as I do. Of these, even the one that's at 48%, when I'm just drinking it for pleasure, I do not add water. I prefer it without the water. The Aberlour, I don't drink that at 59%.
No,
I add water. And this is my private reserve, which I'll give you a taste of. But it is for my home barrel. See, I've been flavoring it. I've been aging it with oak chips, flavoring it with vanilla and ginger and clove and nutmeg and cinnamon.
Oh. All right. Where do you keep your barrel?
In my Hyperborean Hermitage, which we can visit if you like. Thank you once again, and I am Mr. Julian.
Will Smith, Brandon Riley, Weekend Land. We'll see you in a minute.
Excellent. So you were Aberlour, Highland Park, and then
I think Lefroy and then the last two.
Lefroy and the last two. Okay, and you were
Glenmorangie might come last.
Okay.
All
right. That's White Will Smith's.
That's my Scotch intake.
Okay.
And mine would be changed just slightly. I would put this here, that there, and I would put the Glenfiddich before here, just until I got used to the kind of the intense.
Right. But he had this army of like 16 to 19-year-old girls that went with him everywhere and would sleep with him nude at night, supposedly to test his vows of chastity.